Hi everyone, and welcome back as I continue my review of The Prisoner in the order I'm watching the episodes. So let's crack straight on with this one. Do not forsake me, oh my darling. And this is a bit of a weird one. The episode starts basically with a group of gentlemen viewing slides, holiday slides by the looks of them. And the boss there is convinced that these slides contain some sort of message, hidden message, but they don't know how to extract it from the slides. And the reason for this is because one Professor Seltzman has gone missing, and the last person to be in contact with him is number 6. So, a gentleman called the Colonel is brought to the village. He's not aware of the reasons why, and he meets number 2. And number 2 tells him, "You're here for a very important reason. Have you heard of Professor Seltzman?" And of course the Colonel says, no, never heard of him. And the reason is quite simple. The village has Professor Seltzman's technology. The invention of Professor Seltzman to swap the mind of one person and place it into a body of another. And number 2 gives the Colonel a dummy run, but unfortunately the Colonel and number 6 are about to be, processed. Yes, number 6's mind is put into the body of the Colonel. He is then released. He wakes up back home. He thinks it's just a normal day because obviously they've implanted memories into him. And he's pottering around the house. He looks in the mirror and what? Who is this? He does not recognise himself. And to complicate matters further, his girlfriend, Janet, is on the doorstep asking a lot of questions. But of course she does not recognise him because standing in front of her is somebody completely different, even though this person has the mind of number 6 housed in the Colonel's body. And this is where we now get a full understanding of how long number 6 has been in the village. Because she says to the Colonel, let's say the Colonel, that her boyfriend, number 6, has been gone for over 1 year. Anyway, after the meeting, she goes to see her dad, her father, Sir Charles, who is in fact number 6's former boss. And not far behind her, yes, number 6, the Colonel, is en route to meet his former boss. Of course, his former boss, Sir Charles, is playing the card, excuse me, who is this gentleman in the, he's bemused, let's put it that way. He is bemused. So, yes, the Colonel number 6 has returned back to his former employers. He goes through this process of names, code names, and other things. And he puts it to, I'm going to assume it's like the number 2 to Charles. He says Seltzman. And then he shows a photograph of his true self. And from there, they go and visit Sir Charles. Now, obviously, number 6 in the mind trapped in the Colonel, there's going to be complications at this meeting. And there is complications at this meeting because Sir Charles is basically saying, whatever the information you are revealing to me, secret or otherwise, could have been easily extracted from this former agent. And of course, there's poor old number 6 in the body of the Colonel, his mind obviously, and he has just basically run straight into a brick wall. And so from there he departs and he heads home. But already on his doorstep is a mysterious figure keeping an eye on him, and he won't be the only one keeping an eye on him. So in his house, the Colonel number 6 makes an interesting discovery about his handwriting. Much to number 6's relief, it's his own handwriting. Sir Charles has also put a tail on him, and the Colonel number 6 attend Janet's birthday party. He's there for a reason. He's there to pick up a receipt for camera film, which was placed in a camera shop over a year ago. He gets the receipt from Janet. He obviously goes to the shop to pick up the slides, obviously, and he also has a passport photo taken of himself, and he also discovers the slides were picked up previously and then brought back. How nice. Outside the shop is Sir Charles's man, Potter, and he's not the only one loitering around. The other mysterious gentleman has been following Colonel number 6 around everywhere. So Colonel number 6 goes back to his home, and he starts to organise the slides in a certain order, and he then puts the slides, all the slides, this certain number of slides, into the projector. He puts on specific lens on his glasses, and behold the message where Saltzman is. And so from there he obviously looks at a map of Europe, plans his route, and he's off. But obviously he's been tailed by Potter and this other mysterious person. So he's off on his travels through Europe. Now obviously this is going to be a few days to get to the location. That's obvious. So you're only going to see the travelling bits of this. And he turns up at the destination, and he locates Saltzman by showing this gentleman a picture of him, and Saltzman is making out he's a barber. And Saltzman will not reveal his identity to the Colonel number 6 because he's incognito. And unfortunately for the Colonel number 6, who has already explained why he's there, has a bit of an awkward situation. But fortunately for him, he talks about a letter he sent to Saltzman, and Saltzman kept the letter. And so Saltzman checks the handwriting. It matches. It is number 6's handwriting. But unfortunately, Potter turns up, and then there's a punch-up between the Colonel and Potter, and then the other gentleman walks in, the other mysterious gentleman holding a gas gun, knocking them all out. And so Colonel number 6 and Saltzman are returned to the village. And Saltzman does not really want to reverse the process. He's the only one with the knowledge of reversing it. But number 2 sort of says, I give in to all your demands. Which Saltzman knows that he's going to be filmed. They're going to watch every step of the process, and that's exactly what they do. So though they break their promise to Seltzman, Seltzman plays a trump card. So, the process is underway. Number 6's mind is to be rehoused back into his own body. And everything looks normal. Obviously, number 2, with all the science men behind him, are watching all of this. It's all taking place. It's all done and dusted. And number 2 has a talk with the Colonel and thanks him, and he's on his way. But here's the trump card. When number 6 comes round in his own body, he tells number 2 that Seltzman had progressed even further. He was able to swap the mind of 3 individuals, to which number 2 cannot believe. And he's saying the man who just walked out here is not the Colonel, and that's exactly what it is. It wasn't the Colonel that walked out and got on that helicopter. It was the Colonel's body, but in the mind, it was Professor Seltzman. So Seltzman gets away from the village. So, yeah, there we go. A bit of a odd one, that. Really strange. Really weird one, that. Definitely a sort of science fiction one, that, in many aspects. So, let's move straight on to my final thoughts on this one. Right, my final thoughts on this one. Well, we finally have established a hard fact that number 6 has been in the village for just over a year now, and that was quite a shock to him, obviously, when he was told that piece of info from his girlfriend, that is to say his mind housed in the body of the Colonel. Yeah, so quite a shock to number 6 that he's been there for that long. Yeah, so why is Patrick McGoohan so absent from this episode? Well, for those who are not familiar with The Prisoner, the fact is that Patrick McGoohan was busy shooting the film Ice Station Zebra. That's why he's hardly in this episode. It's a bit strange, this episode, in terms of why it was made. Couldn't the production just held off for a while? Well, there you go. I don't know that one. But nevertheless, what you got is quite an intriguing episode. They released number 6. He's sent out to the big wide world. But unfortunately, his mind is housed in the Colonel's body, and his mission is to find Seltzman, because he was the last person in contact with Seltzman before Seltzman disappeared. So yeah, it's quite a good one, actually, this one. And you do get introduced to his girlfriend, his former boss. Yeah, so there are some other aspects in there of his former life as a spy agent, you could say, before he was picked up and carted off to the village. Yeah, it's not a bad episode, actually, this one. So, yeah, I've got really nothing more else to say on this one. Yeah, it was clearly a bit of a science fiction one, that. Yeah, bit weird, but there you go. Right, well, on that note, that brings us to one more episode before the big 2. And obviously, some of you have probably worked out the next episode. And, well, all will be revealed on my next one, reviewing The Prisoner. Have a great day, everyone. See you in due course. And as usual, be seeing you.